Finally, we start learning about some backstory for Kagestu, learning as to why he left the pro circuit, as well as possibly seeing the runner-up for Group D. Maybe. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton. Today we're talking all things episode 10 of the Cardfight Vanguard Divinez Deluxe arc. An episode that shares more light on Kagestu's character while still leaving us with questions, so let's dive in. Now then, I want to start off by talking about the character of Ruka. Honestly, when I first saw the image of her character, I thought she was a bit underwhelming, and wasn't actually sure she was an actual character to the show. But after seeing her character animated and getting to see her personality, my thoughts have completely changed. I love her carefree nature and attitude, and the way she talks about winning and losing, and the themes of just having fun and enjoying yourself when playing Vanguard reminds me a lot of yeeeeeah's views back in Overdress. Her playfulness and her desire to do whatever she feels like doing is impressive, but we do have a few more questions to learn about her character. Is she the runner-up in Group D? Well, I don't think so unless she's using a mask to hide her identity. Remember, Danji spoke as if he didn't know who the runner-up of Group D was, and we clearly see him within the backstory, so we know there's a connection between Ruka and Danji. Now, it's still possible that we do have her as the runner-up of Group D, because we're hinted at her within the story, and also Tamori does say to Urara that we might still see the former leader / creator of Blackout soon, so maybe Tamori knows something we don't. Now, I don't know if anyone else is, but I'm also really curious as to what deck she plays. Personally, I think Dark State would be a good deck for her to have, as it would link her love for the moon and for the night. Plus, we might have a reason as to why Kagestu plays the deck that he does, as we know his deck has a very heavy connection to the moon, which, again, we know that Ruka loves the moon, and we know that he knows this. So maybe because he has a slight affection towards her and an interest in her, that he's now using a different deck that he previously used that allows him to have a connection to the moon, thus having a connection to the character. Again, we don't know what deck Kagestu even played in his flashbacks, just that he was very powerful. However, to counter the fact that she might use a Dark State deck, we so far have a leader of Blackout that uses all nations apart from lyricals. If you don't count, cross-dressing yeeeeeah. So it's possible that she's a lyrical user, as that would fit into the idea of all members of Blackout using different nations. Either way, I do hope she returns to the show and we get that rematch between herself and Kagestu, both for Kagestu's character and for some fan service, because honestly, I want to see more of this character because I think she's amazing. Yes, I sound like I'm echoing here. I love her design and her personality, and Yoko Hakisa, who voices her, did an amazing job. So, more please. Now then, Now and Kagestu's interaction. I do like this master and student relationship that they have going on, and we know how comfortable and considerate they are towards each other. I thought it was really sweet and wholesome how Now was going out of her way to support Kagestu, checking on him and seeing what's wrong. Plus, we have the add-on that Now was actually very mature and smart in the situation, as she knows that this topic could be rather difficult for Kagestu to talk about, so she chose to keep the chat private by going to her room so no one else would overhear the conversation. That was nice. Now, the addition of them having a card fight while talking was a bit overkill. I'm guessing Kagestu is giving her personal information, so he at least needs to also make her traumatized even more by defeating her again, causing her to have another loss. So she's now on a losing streak. Don't know how that's going to do for her confidence in the tournament, but this is Now we're talking about, so I'm sure she'll bounce back. Now, I get it as well. When they're expressing their deep emotions and having a very serious conversation, we've been driven home the fact that you can understand each other through card fighting So I guess that was another way of Kagestu thinking, this is how I'm going to really express myself to this person who is trying to help me. And also, one last thing about this fight, we get to see that Kagestu isn't even in his final form yet, because he uses yet another monster that seems to be very, very powerful. And it seems like he has more to come. Okay, so let's dive a little bit more into the backstory. Seeing how much he loved to play the game when he was younger was great, and he excelled in both the card fighting aspect and the teaching aspect. Two things that we still see in present day. Being so young and smashing on the pro circuit is a great achievement, and his desire to play stemmed from his desire to battle stronger opponents. This was in order to improve his game and to prove himself to others. To a young Kagestu, winning was everything, and that's how he gained his enjoyment. That was until he met Ruka, a character that had conflicting ideals and carried herself with a carefree and spirited nature, that somehow managed to draw everyone that she encountered towards her. It was clear that Kagestu was falling for her, even if it was just a little. But after losing in a crushing, defeating way, we see Kagestu get more focused, more driven to improve, and to win when he returns to face Ruka once more. But the rematch never came, as she disappeared. Imagine having a goal that you strive for, that you work day in, day out, spending so much effort in making sure that goal is achievable, and then suddenly, when the time is right to face it, it vanishes. All your hard work has been wasted. That feeling is more impactful and heavier on Kagestu than the defeat he ultimately had before. This leads to him wanting to quit the pro circuit, thus ending the backstory for now. It was a tragic and sad backstory that we got given in this episode that does help to show why he's disinterested and why he thinks everyone is underneath him in terms of skill level, as well as why he was so affected when he saw how crushed Akina was when he asked Akina why does he play Vanguard. Because after he lost to Ruka, we see that Kagestu was asked the same question and he could not answer it. Therefore, we now have more of a reason as to why Kagestu feels guilty for what he did at the start of the season. But also, back to why he thinks he's disinterested and everyone's beneath him, is because the only person who has ever been able to beat him is of course Ruka, and no one has inspired him like Ruka has. I feel like Akina might be a new inspiration for Kagestu though moving forward, especially if Akina managed to win his next match against him. We'll have to see on that one. Now for my closing thoughts about this episode, I do think the placement of it was very smart. And the backstory did come at a great time, and it helps to elevate Kagestu's character and show more interest within him. So I do appreciate this. Overall, a really solid episode, and I can't wait to see what happens moving forward. Like, comment, and subscribe for more things Cardfight Vanguard and card game related. Have a great day, alligator, matane, goodbye.